Yo, what's up YouTube, man? It's your boy Ashton Jackson. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what the Dallas Cowboys have done so far and just doing videos updating of what they've been doing so far and how they're staying active in free agency, and also how the news with DeAndre Hopkins and the asking price for the Cardinals has decreased, and so has the asking price of what was deemed 15 to 20 million for Odell. Now they're coming down off of their asking price. So basically, Dallas Cowboys could still potentially be offered for D-Hop and Beckham. So before I hop into the video, I'd appreciate if you guys would like the video, subscribe if you're new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. So hopping straight into it, man. Just first off, I want to talk about what the Dallas Cowboys have done so far and just resigning people like either the we like our own guy philosophy and other players that we have signed. So we have signed Ronald Jones, running back that came from the Kansas City Chiefs. We signed him to a year deal, and the contract breakdown that I have of it so far, it's a one-year deal, $1.2 million. He has a base salary of $1.08 million. He has a signing bonus of $152,500, and he will count $940,000 against the cap, and he has a base salary guaranteed of $150,000. That, you know, this could potentially be your Zeke replacement. He's just going to be your change of pace back. This does not scare you, and that doesn't steer you away from still drafting a back either day one or day two. So basically, within the first 3 rounds, this still gives you flexibility to draft a running back, or, you know, you can go into next season feeling somewhat comfortable if you fix this front five of your offensive line. Your running backs don't really matter because you'll end up with a guy like, you know, Tony Pollard still having a fantastic year because you use him more than just running back things. You utilize him in the passing game. They can also do Ronald Jones as well, who had a really good year in 2020 for the Buccaneers. Then you also get, you know, you did re-sign Rico Dowdle, so you can get him into the formations or, you know, into the playbook. And then you also still use Malik Davis, who showed you promise and showed you bright spots in games like the Colts, you know, Chicago, Green Bay as well. So he had a couple games in there that Malik Davis have showed that, you know, he can be really solid for you. We re-signed Dante Fowler to a 1-year deal as well, which was really solid for us. Now that adds, again, that keeps your pass rush depth even more intact. So now you bring in Dante Fowler, who was really solid for you last year, who got 6 sacks for you, just a rotational defensive end, which was really great. McKinley, you signed long snapper Trent Saig out of Vegas from the Vegas Raiders. And then you also signed offensive tackle / guard. He is that offensive guard flexibility like what we have with Connor McGovern. He was able to play some center or some guard for you. And Chuma Edoga, he got drafted in the 3rd round by the New York Jets. Then he spent last year playing with the Atlanta Falcons, and he has some snaps. Dallas Cowboys, there are still some people for me that I want you to sign. Mainly, one of the guys I want you to resign is Jonathan Hankins. Another guy that I would like for you to sign is Carlos Watkins. That's pretty much it from what I want the Dallas Cowboys to do, just from the standpoint of them signing their own. You know, right here I'm put on the screen, there was a report coming out from, you know, Albert Beer that the Cardinals will not be able to get their initial asking price of a 2nd-round pick and another asset in a trade for DeAndre Hopkins. He thinks that would be a closer to what the Cowboys did for Brandon Cooks, of a trade of a 5th and a 6th-round pick. If this report has any merit to it, and this is reportedly, you know, even true, I think now the DeAndre sweepstake even becomes a higher stake now, because now I think other bidding, you know, there will be other teams in the mix, like Carolina, Dallas. I'm just thinking of teams that need a receiver. Dallas, Kansas City Chiefs won't be mad at that. I won't be surprised if everyone in your division is going to want to get in on that. Do what the Arizona Cardinals want to do, and if the Cowboys want to get DeAndre Hopkins, which DeAndre Hopkins has came out and willingly has said that he wants to play for the Dallas Cowboys, and he publicly said on Pat McAfee's show a couple weeks ago that he's willing to work out his contract. And shout out to Skywalker Steele. He had the scoop on that DeAndre Hopkins has, prior to this year, he's never had an agent. He's been self-employed in that contracting negotiations. He's been real great at that already. So now he just he hired his lawyers, from what I'm hearing, and that, to help him and help him with this reconstruction of his contract, and to where that he can get decent money and still frees him up for the team that he wants to play for. So now that DeAndre Hopkins even sounds more enticing now, because right now the Dallas Cowboys, they have picks 1 through 7. They have 7 draft picks. They pick in every single round of the draft. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'll do the same draft again, same picks again. I'll give them a 5th this year, a 6th this year, and if the Cardinals even want to take our 7th round pick, I'll even do that as well. I just don't think a lot of teams are going to be that crazy in terms with some of these players. I don't think they're going to, there's not a team out there that's going to give the Cardinals a 1st or a 2nd round pick in a player. I don't think that's possible, especially from what he was traded for his first go around, because when he was a Houston Texan, he got traded in the height of his career, the prime of his career. He got traded for a 4th round pick. I don't think the Cardinals are going to get anything more than that, than what they got him for, which makes sense. So, yeah, so if I'm Dallas Cowboys, I'm still going to try now. Now this is even more plausible, because before we were saying, the Dallas Cowboys didn't want to get DeAndre Hopkins because, they wanted to get a 2nd round pick from the Cowboys or any team that wanted to get him. Now, if you're Dallas, and you might still want to go get DeAndre Hopkins to even add more guys into this room, because if you added DeAndre Hopkins to this room, I'm not even looking at wide receiver in the draft. That's one, now if Jackson Smith-Njigba is there, or if a Quentin Johnson out of TCU is there, I'm pulling the trigger and I'm getting him. But if you can get DeAndre Hopkins, that frees up your board, and you don't even have to look at wide receiver until later in the draft, or 4th round if you want to. But I think you can have other focus on other needs and anything like that. So if I'm Dallas Cowboys, I still would like for the Cowboys to go out and go get DeAndre Hopkins, especially with the asking price of a 5th or a 6th. Now with OBJ, there was a report that came out that his initial asking price of $15-20 million per season is now something that's not going to come into fruition, because teams are not willing to pay him that much. So since teams aren't going to be willing to pay him that much, which I don't blame him, because he had a lot of lower body injuries, that's where he sustained most of his injuries. And I understand where Odell's mindset is coming from, because he's basically saying, before I tore my ACL, prior to that I was lighting up in the playoffs, had a really good game in the conference game against the Niners. And then also I balled out in the Super Bowl. If I didn't get hurt, I'm Super Bowl MVP over my own teammate, Cooper Kupp. And I understand that's why he's asking for $15-20 million. But, it's really hard to get that from a player who's always been injured. And, now he came out publicly and said that, $4 million is not enough. So I don't even think $5 million is enough for OBJ. And then now they're saying they're coming down off of that that 15 to 20. So now Odell's working from 6 to 14 million. And I think the contract that is that's obtainable for him is to get a 3-year deal, $33 million from a team. Guys like Jacoby Myers got a contract like that. Juju Smith got a contract like that. So I don't think OBJ is 10 times better than a Juju and a Jacoby Myers deal. $33 million. He can get $11 million per. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, I'll give him a contract like that. Give him anywhere from 13 to 16 guaranteed, and he can make up to 20 to 25 million guaranteed. If you put in clauses in the contract that if you play X amount of games, you get this, a couple $100,000. You get us to a conference championship game, that's $3 million. You win us the Super Bowl, that's $5-6 million. So that's something like that the Cowboys can easily put in for an Odell's contract, and we can have Odell on the team. And same thing, I think Dallas Cowboys are more inclined to go on a route like that to get an OBJ, especially saying that they don't have to give up a draft pick and you can still get a caliber player like a DeAndre Hopkins on that level. But you can have that in OBJ, but all you have to do is dedicate some of your salary, some of your salary cap. Like, they can still go get either the receivers I'm talking about, is because right now, the Cowboys have $16 million worth in cap space because they did reconstruct Brandon Cooks' deal. So now when you reconstruct a player's deal, every single time the Dallas Cowboys have made room, just this offseason alone, I'm not talking about off seasons prior, I'm talking about this offseason and the present day, when every time that we money made room for some money, we always brought somebody in. We did that by reconstructing deals of like DeMarcus Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Zach Martin, and we brought in Stephon Gilmore. Reconstructed Michael Gallup's contract, and we got a Brandon Cooks. So if you're the Dallas Cowboys, it makes sense that you either bring in an Odell, a DeAndre Hopkins, hopefully a Bobby Wagner, even a Miles Jack. So just to wrap up for the video, the players that the Dallas Cowboys re-signed / signed was Ronald Jones, Dante Fowler, Tack McKinley, long snapper Trent Sieg, and offensive tackle / guard Chuma Edoga. And the Dallas Cowboys should look into trading DeAndre Hopkins, since the Cardinals are now asking for a 5th and a 6th, and maybe even an Odell, especially since he's not asking for 15, 20 million or more, and that you don't even have to give a pick for him. You can just give up cap space. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.